So, friends, Tom here. Let's play some golf. Yes, this is golf for the NES, one of the original launch titles. According to Wikipedia, this was the first golf video game to have that power and accuracy meter at the bottom. And everything after that just kind of copied it. Now, I do want to quibble about that a little bit. You know, power makes sense. If you get all the way to the left, you have more power. I'm fine with that. Accuracy, though, like, I find this very misleading. So you'll see, I hit the ball just to the right of that little flashy thing in the bottom. That curves the ball to the left, right? That's kind of the intention I had, because that gets it closer to where it needs to go in the end, right? So, if I'm not in line with that yellow thingy in the middle, it's not that the ball isn't going where I'm trying to send it. It's just not going perfectly straight. It's hooking at the end. So, it took me a little bit to figure that out because I just thought it was accuracy. It's like, okay, if I don't get it there, the ball isn't going to go where I want to send it. But like, no, it's just another way of controlling the ball. And yeah, it's still going where I want it to go, even when it's not lined up. Although, in another sense, if I'm inaccurate at stopping it where I want to stop it, then the ball isn't going to go where I want it to go. So I can see it from that angle, but still, the mechanics of it are not obvious from calling it an accuracy meter. Maybe, oh, I'm not a designer. I can't think of a good name for it. The spin hook of the ball, maybe? I'm not really a sports person either, so I'm not sure if either of those terms are technically correct in any sense. Anyway, this is a 18-hole golf game, and for each hole we have a par. Now, I was on Wikipedia earlier, and the par has been calculated to be the number of strokes that a reasonable golfer, a reasonably skilled golfer would take to get the ball in the hole. So they use sort of math to calculate how many strokes it takes to get to the green right here. And then once you're on the green, they give you an extra 2 strokes. So if you can get it to the green reasonably well and you're super skilled at putting on the green, you can get one under par or a birdie every single time. Of course, we humans are far from perfect. These islands are so annoying to work around. You know, you have different clubs to choose from. In that shot, I went with the 5 iron. And the game comes with a manual where it tells you the max distance for each club, which is kind of nice, but you only really get the distance from the tee to the cup, right? The final distance the ball needs to travel at the end of the day. So beyond that, like either way, you're kind of just eyeballing it. And that sort of gets into the challenge of Let's playing this sort of game. Because on its own, playing a 18-hole game of golf, just one game and walk away, it's not it's not all that engaging. For me, the joy of this game comes in trying it over and over and over again. And each time I play the game, I'm can be a little bit locked in with that power timing at the very end there. I have a little bit more intuition for which sort of club I want to pick. I have a little more intuition for where the wind is going to blow the ball and how to work around that. And it's those multiple factors just like slowly building up and clicking in my brain over time that makes this a really fun game. And I don't know how to highlight that playing just once through for you like this. This is sort of the final product after practice, and I will be honest, a little bit of computer editing for some of the more tricky holes. I do confess to that. Um, I am not doing this as raw as I did Wrecking Crew, but yeah, if you just see this all by itself, maybe it doesn't look all that interesting. But give it time. Give it time. Let it grow on you. Let your intuition broaden, and it just starts to feel good as you get better. And honestly, I don't feel this is a game that takes a ton of work to get better. It just sort of happens on its own for a little bit. For a little bit. I've seen some speedrunners do this, and they're amazing. They do the most powerful club every single time, the one wood, and they get it to go where they want just by, choosing where on the power meter to hit it. And oh my god, it's amazing how precise they can be. I do not have the desire to practice to get on that level, but I respect the hell out of them for doing it. So, golf was invented in the Battle of the Green Fields when Bull Roarer took smashed the head off a goblin with a wooden club and knocked it into a badger hole, thus winning the battle and inventing the game of golf in one blow. Or at least this is how it went according to the renowned scholar J.R.R. Tolkien. Other, less reputable sources say it was invented in its modern form in 15th century Scotland. But of course, hitting a ball with a stick is a pretty basic idea, and you see it in so many cultures throughout the world. Um, there's been a ancient Chinese version of it. I'm sure it's popped up lots of other places too. Although the first golf tournament, I was surprised to learn this, it didn't happen until 1860. Right? I would have expected it to be a little bit sooner, but I guess it's 1860. I wonder what took so long. Ah, so it looks like this one is going to come in one under par if I get this right. There we go. And one under par is called a birdie. Two under par is called an eagle. Three under, I believe, is a double eagle. And four under is an albatross. Now, an albatross has never been recorded in a professional game of golf. It's been recorded in 18 amateur games. Although I believe there's some caveat about them not being like professionally graded courses. But yeah, albatross is rare. I feel like if you get an albatross, somebody must have messed up the par calculation because I just don't understand how you can do that much better in a game like this. But again, I don't play golf. I don't really play any sports. I kind of wish I had gotten into it as a kid. I was always I was always the nerd type, right? And the movies just had this unfortunate stereotypes in my mind about jocks and people who play sports. And that's I wish they had portrayed it that way, and I wish I hadn't fallen for it. It's moving around, exercising with a bunch of friends. Like, what's bad about that? It seems like an absolutely wonderful way to spend a day. Golf especially seems really chill. You can have a really lovely walk in nice weather, spending time with your friends in between. There's not a lot of pressure, and maybe I will try it out someday. As I was researching for this video, I looked around for places that do golf lessons, and it's getting a little bit cold in the year to actually do it, but it does seem like an interesting way to expand my horizons, you know? Of course, I have to finish school first. I am theoretically working on my master's degree. There are papers I am supposed to be writing instead of playing video games about golf and playing golf. I should probably do that instead, but there are just so many cool things in life. There's I've heard it said that there's more to do than can ever be done. But today we're playing golf as a video game, indoors on this good old NES system. We're about to wrap things up. We're coming in pretty far under par for the course. Is that the proper way to say that? I just noticed that maybe that's where the expression comes from, par for the course. But we had minus 13. That's pretty respectable. I hear some people can get as low as minus 21 without being amazing at this game, so there's still room for improvement. But that was my run through of golf. Thank you for playing with me, everyone, and I will see you next time for a new game.